In most stories, the hero is remembered, their name etched in legend, their victories told for generations. But in Frieren Beyond Journey's End, we're asked a different question. What makes a hero when no one remembers you? This is the story of Himmel, the hero who was never chosen, but chose to matter anyway.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being a fake hero.
In Frieren's world, time moves differently. The grandest acts are swallowed by centuries. Even legendary heroes fade like fog. We see it in the forgotten statues, the crumbling ruins, the nameless adventurers who saved towns that no longer exist. Even the Demon King, once the greatest threat in the world, becomes little more than a historical footnote. Himmel could have been one of them. In fact, the story tells us he was never meant to be the hero. He couldn't pull the hero's sword from its pedestal, the classic symbol that says, "This is the hero," and yet, it was him. He became the leader, not because fate said so, but because he showed up again and again for people who needed him. That's what makes Frieren so beautiful. The anime values presence over power, consistency over destiny. It quietly rejects the idea that greatness is something you're born into, and suggests it's something you create with every small, deliberate act. In the anime, they provide us with a flashback. We get a glimpse into Himmel's childhood, lost in the woods, and it was Frieren, hundreds of years older, who found and guided him home with her master's favorite spell. It's not a dramatic moment, but it's pivotal because it plants something in Himmel. The idea that even a small kindness matters, that one quiet act can stay with someone for life. He never forgot Frieren, but more importantly, he never forgot how it felt to be helped, and he turned that feeling into a lifetime of helping others. Not for glory, but because someone once did it for him. This small moment, almost invisible in the broader story, is the emotional root of Himmel's worldview. It's a theme the anime revisits constantly, that the things we do for others, even when forgotten, can echo for generations. Himmel doesn't look like your typical anime hero. He's not overly stoic, not bloodthirsty, not impossibly gifted. He picks flowers, he makes silly faces, he asks how people are doing. In most fantasy stories, he'd be the comic relief, the warm-hearted fool. But Frieren doesn't treat him that way. It treats those acts of goodness with reverence. It asks, what if this is what saves the world? Because, while his party was fighting monsters, Himmel was saving memories, leaving traces in people, traces that would last decades longer than the ruins of a dungeon. That's the quiet thesis of Frieren. Kindness has a shelf life longer than power. And this isn't just Himmel. We see this echoed in Frieren's later journey. The way Stark genuinely helps others, how Heiter of all people adopted a daughter, the way Sane chooses to stay behind and serve his village. These small, deeply human decisions form the emotional foundation of the show. They're not dramatic, but they are meaningful. When Himmel dies, Frieren barely reacts, not because she doesn't care, but because at that time she doesn't yet understand the weight of what he gave her. To her, death is normal, expected. She's seen centuries of it, but then time does what it always does. It passes, and in that silence, in those years alone, she begins to notice Himmel is still with her, not as a ghost, but as a pattern, in the way people smile, in the way they say thank you, in the small gestures she starts to imitate. She begins to understand that emotion isn't weakness, that remembering someone doesn't mean clinging to the past. It means honoring how they shaped you, and she mourns him properly for the first time, not with a dramatic wail, but with a journey to understand the people she once traveled with. It's this emotional evolution, slow, quiet, and deeply introspective, that makes Frieren special, and Himmel is the catalyst for all of it. We think of power as the ability to destroy, to conquer, to overcome, but Himmel showed another kind of power, the ability to persist in kindness even when no one sees it, to persist in compassion even when the world is broken. We see how that quiet heroism outlasts everything else. In one episode, Frieren visits a village that Himmel once helped decades ago. The villagers don't remember his name, they don't even remember his face, but they do remember the feeling he left behind, and that's what matters, because true legacy doesn't live in monuments, it lives in how people treat each other after you're gone. She, the immortal mage, could have passed through centuries untouched, but one human, just one, left a mark deeper than any spell, because Himmel taught her to care, and that made all the difference. So, what makes a hero when no one remembers you? Maybe it's not the chosen one. Maybe it's not the strongest, or the bravest, or the loudest. Maybe it's the person who made others feel remembered. Himmel couldn't lift the hero's sword, but he lifted people, he lifted Frieren, and in doing so, he became a different kind of immortal. not carved in history, but carved into hearts. If this resonated with you, consider leaving a like and subscribing. See you in the next